Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Jade, and this is How to Have an iOS. Yeah. And today, we're going to be talking about why I love/hate Logic Pro for iPad. So grab your ankles and let's do this thing. Boo. Hello, welcome to the show. My name's Jade. This is How to App on iOS, and I hope you're all doing okay. Welcome. Hello, Ed B, Thomas Christ, Sean Chandler, Jim Shannon, Paul. There's Paul. Speaking of Paul, let's just get it out of the way right now. He's coming on the show this week. The show just went up live. So now he was recently on Frank Terzo's Community Pulse, and they had a little chin wag. But you know what's going to happen on this show? We're going to go deeper, 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 and deeper. Aren't we, Paul? Where's my latex gloves? That's coming up this Thursday. If you want to come and hang out, run, Paul, run. CQ, what's going on? Barry Glenn, Joe Glenn, hello. Mateusz Pro Kowski. Oh, it looks like he's going to enjoy it. Good times to the back teeth, yeah. You're going to need that healthcare over there in the UK. What is happening? What am I talking about? You can tell it's early in the morning here. I just lose my mind, don't I, every day on this show. I do apologise. Leela, thank you for dumping everybody over here. And Leela just had her usual show. Great show as always. Pete Johns is up after this show today. I will dump you over there automatically. Have I seen you all? I think I've seen you all. I think I've said hello to you all. If I've missed you, call me a slut. Or don't. All right. Apparently it's Metal Day. You guys are a day behind. It was Metal Day here yesterday. Catch up, guys. What's going on? Unbelievable. I was metal yesterday. I worked on my metal album. What are we here for today? We're here to talk about Logic Pro. In fact, we're here to talk about the broader idea of making music on iOS, and we'll quickly do a quick history thing because you have to have context, I believe, when talking about things like Logic Pro, because some people are just finding the iPad for the first time and going, what is this kooky little piece of glass that I can make music on? Well, yes, indeed. Now, you got to remember the iPad for making music is still relatively a virgin in the music recording industry space. Look at this hair. It's getting out a bit out of control. It's still relatively a virgin because if you think about the history of music and the history of recording, the iPad's only been around a little bit over 10 years, right? Only 10 years. And, you know, for half that time, the majority of snotty-nosed, snooty music producers from dinosaurs from the past would look at you if you said you were making music on an iPad and go, I've had that look so many times from pretentious pricks. They're like, when I was in America, I got introduced to a group of people once at a party as, this is Jade from Australia. Jade makes music on an iPad. And I swear to God, it was like, they looked at me and were like, oh, okay. Like, how cute. I was like, yeah? To hear my music. Let me hear your music. Jesus, you make that on a PC. Ow. Time for you to take up plumbing. But it is a very, very early stage for the iPad. And, people haven't fully discovered and embraced its full capabilities, and it just gets more powerful and more powerful. So my little journey with moving to iOS, and just to give you a little bit of background before that, so I'm 52 years old. I was making music in my teens. I was in recording studios when I was in a teen. using tape, ADAT, DATs. I've been right through the whole system of working in the studio, then got my first computer and was recording using Pro Tools, Cubase, things like Cool Edit Pro back in the day, Logic when it was on PC up until Logic 5.5 before Apple acquired it and took it away and made it solely for their platform. So I've kind of seen the industry and recording tools and all that stuff. And let me be upfront about this. This ain't a show telling you you should use Logic. No. I will never do that here on this channel. You do you, boo. Yeah, you do you. But this is a little talk about why I like Logic, why it's just my go-to. And there's its cousin. It's slightly malformed cousin. That was the reason that I got into Logic on the iPad. But so I got to a head. I'd recorded an album, DreadCircus album, my solo DreadCircus album. That was in about 1999. Give me a second here. And basically what happened was I did this on a PC. It's a terrible recording. So here it is here. I recorded this on my home studio. It's my first home computer. So, and it's not good. It's not good. I listen for some reason people like it. And this was using Pro Tools on a PC. Anyway, I'd started work on a new album and I had an iPhone, and then the announcement of the iPad came out, and the discussion was this iPad is nothing more than a giant iPhone that is only going to be used for consumption purposes, for people watching videos. Nobody's going to use it for anything else. And I thought, you know what? And this was, when the first iPad was released. And I thought, that is a load of guff. I've just bought one of these, and I think this thing is fucking tits. And it is tits. Hello, Jenny. It is tits. Mars Capone, g'day. You took a break from recording in Logic to come over here. Well, welcome aboard. So I grabbed my iPad and I decided, you know what, I'm not going to use a PC anymore. And I, ever since, have been using the iPad. Over 10 years since the iPad 1. Guff. I'm here in the right time for the guff. Pete is here for the guff. Let's all give Pete some guff in the chat. Boom. So I moved over to the iPad, and all my friends thought I was bonkers. They were like, yeah, so you're never going to use a PC again to make music? And I was like, no, I'm never going to do it. I kind of have since then, but not a whole song. Never have I made a whole song. I have definitely used it maybe to do some drums on the Mac or something, then bring it back over to the iPad. But yeah, the iPad is solely my beast. And, it has taken a long time to mature. There's no doubt about that. And it's definitely nowhere near maturing. And Logic is not perfect. In fact, here's the thing. Nothing is perfect in life. It's just the thing. It just isn't perfect. And there's always going to be some caveat that this thing's good, but I wish it had this, and this other thing has that, but why doesn't it have this? And this goes with that at Suzanne. Pete knows what I'm talking about. So the thing for me was this. Touch. The touch was just, it was too much to walk away from. For some reason, look, of course I've got a mouse here, but this mouse is actually for my desktop, right? So this is, of course I have a mouse attached to my Magic Keyboard, and I do use this a lot. I find myself doing this, and the way I control things, this mouse is actually for my desktop that runs the show. But the touch screen was the thing that excited me the most. And when I went back to a PC, I was like, oh man, this is so fiddly. I just want to touch the screen. There's something about music, and of course, you're all going to be different. You're all going to be very, very different. But there's something about music to me that is very hands-on. And, I'd never really made a lot of electronic music. It was always in a band, always a guitar, always singing and drums and all that kind of stuff. So to touch, to have that extension of the hands and be able to feel your music, just, I don't know, just felt right. Get it? Amazing stuff. But the problem was when the iPad came out was there wasn't really a lot of, it wasn't easy to make music. And the first program I used to make music, the first thing I downloaded, even before GarageBand, was this sucker here. This is called Music Studio. And amazingly, in a world where every time there's an iOS update or a new iPad, so many apps stop working, this thing still bloody works. And it's still pretty damn good. Let's grab a piano, shall we? What do we go here? We'll go, let's find a Grand Piano 1, right? It's a great app, right? So you got a built-in keyboard, you got some effects here. It's only inter-app audio, so don't get too upset. Here's your track. Look how big and blocky it is, right? And, you know, I got a keyboard plugged in. I've got no sound coming through because this is the thing with iOS. Because it only has one port, what happens is when you bounce between DAWs, the sound gets stolen. Look at that. And this thing was really easy to use, right? I just hit record. Stop, bang, there's our track. Let's make a new track. Let's come over here and we'll choose some drums. We'll go over to drum kits and drum kit, back over to tracks, hit record. Sweet. Let's make a new track. Let's come into instruments and, well, I don't know, it's got beautiful symphonic stuff too, legato strings. Look at that. They sound really nice. And I can't remember where the mixer is. Is there a mixer somewhere? Is it here? No. I can't even remember where it is. But this is the thing that I started off making music with here on iOS, and it's beautiful. It still works. I can't believe it. It makes me laugh. And the sounds are really good. And there's been many times where I've wanted to use the sounds out of this and had to use inter-app audio into something else. So that was my early foray into making music with iOS. Then I found this sucker here. It can't go without me. This baby right here. And of course, Pete will know what we're talking about. It's GarageBand, isn't it? I can't play that. I'll get a copyright claim. Whoops. Don't want to get a copyright claim. Oh, here we go. Let's play some bell bottoms on Sesame Street. Here we go. Yeah. So the thing is with GarageBand, it's an incredible piece of software. There's no doubting it. If you can't make a good song, really high quality song using GarageBand, it's time to become a solicitor. All right, you have all the tools in there. All the tools are in there to make what you need. And yes, there are problems with it, but there are problems with every goddamn app. Is it a little bit cumbersome? Yeah. Could it have had more updates? Yeah, absolutely. But it's totally free. And that is something that you can't beat, especially when you buy an iPad these days and you're dumping thousands and thousands of dollars into a piece of software. a piece of equipment. And, you know, I have a Mac, I have an iPad M2, and boy, in Australia, this thing set me back $3,000. You know, it's a lot of money. So to have something like this, to be able to make such high quality music is just utterly ridiculous. And I know there's a lot of people who complain and go, but it doesn't have this, but it doesn't have that. But you know what? Every single thing that you're going to get doesn't have all the things that you want, because we live in a world where everybody wants all of it and they want it right now. And if they don't get it, they're going to get very upset, because we are in the era of on demand and people come to expect, but I want that. And we have become a very self-centered race. Now I'm getting into the issues of humanity, and it does matter when you're talking about things like this. So I used GarageBand for the longest time, longest time. And you can see, look at all these projects in here. There's a hell of a lot of projects. My whole DreadCircus album was conceived in GarageBand, and the early versions of GarageBand and iPad were constrained because we didn't have a Files app. You kids today with your Files app. We didn't have one, man, and you had to jailbreak your iOS device to be able to share files between versions of things. Like, you know, I would have to seriously jailbreak my iPad and my iPhone and then send the files via... it was a pain in the ass. Send it over to my computer, change the format, and then send it back over. There weren't things like even like MP3 converters and stuff like that. It was very, very, you know, early days, Wild West on the iPad. But GarageBand has stood the test of time, and people continue to make fantastic music with it. Of course, one of the major problems that was a very big sore point for me with GarageBand, was mixing down music. You would spend all this time making your wonderful creation, and then when you went to mix it down, Apple said, you know what? We're just going to like add our own limiting, and we're going to add our own compression, and we're not going to give you a say in what happens. And that is like, fuck off. Don't... I understand that through a lot of the other great parts of GarageBand, holding people's hands is a fantastic thing to help people who may not be making music. But that one thing that was lacking, and I know many people who've used GarageBand will say this, if you just had have given us just the ability to turn off that limiting at the end, well... would have been a hell of a lot easier, a hell of a lot happy, because the problem was you go in and you make your masterpiece, you spend all this time setting compressions and your EQ and all this stuff and getting the right mix, and then you go to mix it down and GarageBand says, no, we think it should sound like this. And it's like, no. It kind of was very disempowering, I felt. And Apple sometimes do that. They like to, for all the great things that they do, there are some very dumb things that they do, and one of those is they like to step in and go, well, we think we know better. And it's like, well, you know what? You don't, guys, because have you seen some of the things you've tried to release that have failed? You're not infallible. And that was a big sticking point for me with GarageBand. So, of course... you go on a quest, don't you? And you want to find something else. You want to find something better. And I tried to do that. And I moved to this thing here. And I'm sure there's people out there who did so as well. And I moved all my projects here. But the thing was, I always stayed with GarageBand. Always. Why? Because I loved making my drums in GarageBand. Making drums in GarageBand was just so easy. And you can see here in this project that I have, this is, of course, Audio Pro. And this cost a lot of money. This is now deadware. You'll see it's deadware now. It's totally deadware on this iPad. Let me be clear. On this iPad, this new iPad, this is deadware. Anything that was made on an older iPad for me, on my previous iPad, does not work here on Audio Pro on this new iPad. As you'll see, let's show you. Let's hit play on this wonderful project here. Go back to the start, hit play. Oh, oh. Now that happens with any project for me that was made on my older iPad. But if I open up my older iPad and open these projects, it all still works. Compatibility issues. Now, you know, there's always been some major issues with Audio Pro. I found Audio Pro to be much more in my realm of the way I remember making music as a kid in a studio or as a young adult. Because it looks like a fucking DAW. You know what I mean? Where GarageBand kind of looks a little bit like a toy, and that's what makes GarageBand so accessible to so many people. But I preferred Audio Pro because, you know, you like what you like, and sometimes, even though it's a pain in the ass, you push through, even though there's problems. And I did with Audio Pro. Now I released a lot of music through Audio Pro. Meteor stuff, but again, drums made in GarageBand, then transferred over. A lot of stuff was made in GarageBand and transferred over. I felt like I was getting a better sound. But in saying that, a lot of the music I've released has been in GarageBand. And yes, as Thomas says here, the MIDI implementation in Audio Pro was lacking. Dude, that you're being very kind. Yeah, to put it nicely, it was shit. It was awful, but audio, fantastic stuff. Audio was really, really good. And of course, I'm just going to run through some other ones. Cubasis. Yes, yes, yes. Cubasis. Now, this thing is a fucking beast. There's no denying it. Cubasis is an utter beast. It's fantastic software. And again, you've probably seen, I don't really use it. I have it, and wow, that was good. There we go. There we go. Now I use it, right? And I've used it for a bunch of things. I have a whole lot of projects in here. If I go, you can see I've got heaps of projects in here and stuff that I've made. But for some reason, the workflow just, here's the deal. Like, I think when you want to make music, you want to just open it and go, right? You want it to be as invisible as possible. You want it to be like the most transparent compressor out there on the planet. You just want to open it up and go. Because ideas and inspiration it isn't always there. And when you've got something that, you know, is a little bit in the way, it can be a pain in the ass. And for me personally, to just start a project, I can't just get in and start something really quickly in Cubasis. This is just me. I'm not slagging it. I think it's one of the best DAWs out there, and there's a heap of fantastic DAWs available. Also, if you've watched this, been here on this channel, watched long enough, I've made music with, I don't know, Gadget as well. Gadget's pretty awesome. Here's a Kindercore I made with Gadget. Get the screen up. Now, again, Gadget is something completely different. Look at the way it goes from side to side and up and down. Some people just can't get their fucking heads around it because it's something completely different. But again, it's an ecosystem that is equally as powerful, does equally as much fantastic stuff. G'day, Chris Lane Sr. But again, it's up to you. Like, there's no right or wrong. Another one that's fantastic and about to get a major update, don't worry, we'll get to Logic, is this sexy little thing. I'm on the beta at the moment. Is this sexy little thing called Loopy. This thing is just, oh, ochi mama. And I've made stuff with this too. There's Relentless Cruelty. So we made this Kindercore song. Jerry Gomes, g'day. I don't know what happened there, but you know, on the channel, I did a whole series making a song using Loopy Pro. Another stellar but different kind of way to make music using loops, and you can see that the platform here looks totally different. Let's remove this. So it's all in these loops. It's a wonderful app, and it's just about to get an update soon with MIDI and all that stuff, so we can't wait for that. Another completely powerful app. Look, there's so many I can go through as well, but we are, of course, here to talk about Logic. Now, Logic was whispered for a very long time. People were like, but when's Logic coming? When's Logic coming? When's Logic coming? And people had very high expectations. Now, before I do go on, I didn't even mention this baby, did I? AUM. AUM is incredible. Again, now you can contest, is it a DAW? Is this a DAW? Does it matter? Does it matter what it gets called? I don't think it really does. Let's load, I don't know, this Frostbite demo that I did from one of the last shows. There's something about this wonderful app that it doesn't need categorization. It's just so easy to use for ideas and especially for demoing apps, and just for a completely outside of the box way to make music. This isn't a DAW, it's like a mixer, yeah? And you add these channels, but there's so many amazing developers out there who have made apps that can make this more of a DAW and give you MIDI and just all these things. So the developers have come to the party to make this particular app grow so much. Yes, and of course, BAM, another fantastic one. BAM is incredible. So there's too many to even mention. And again, I'm not shitting on any of these and saying which one's the right one for you. I think they're all fantastic. I'm a big fan of owning them all. Right? Now, I say on the show all the time, apps aren't Pokemon. You don't need to collect them all. But when it comes to DAWs, I do. I have to collect them all, because sometimes there's things. Nano Studio 2, awesome, yeah. Nodes, yeah, as well. I mean, they're all fucking really good. You've seen me make music with Nodes as well. I haven't even opened that for EG Nodes. Look at this thing. How good is EG Nodes? Let me just, what's the last thing I made on here? Here we go. How cool this is. We've got like a song node playing over here. This is what I use to make my music for Walk With Me, because it's just really easy to throw something together super quick. Yeah, Nano Studio will never get audio tracks. But never say never, right? Because who knows? There's been, look at Logic. N-Track Studio, yeah, I covered that. I've made music with N-Track Studio on the show as well. So many good, look, there's just so many good DAWs, you know. And again, see, this is what makes us all different, Mars. Some of the interfaces appeal to you, some of them don't. And it's how we react to them as people that shows our character. You know what I mean? If you get up there and walk, you know, head around telling everybody, oh, that thing's crap. Well, you're crap. Because why shit on something that you don't like, but somebody else is having a good time using? You know, don't be that guy, as Brad says. Hey, G-May, what's going on? Here he is, the host with the most. What a fantastic show you ran on the weekend. And yes, I'm once again, two-time Jammy winner. Yeah, beat that. So there you go. So look, there's no denying there's heaps of great DAWs out there to make fantastic music. Again, I say it all. Beat Hawk. Yeah, Beat Hawk. Look, it's ridiculous how many great ones there are, yeah? And I know Thomas was writing earlier Fruity Loops. So you got Fruity Loops on here as well. It's one of the ones I didn't connect with on iOS. It's a terrible version for me on iOS. I was using Fruity Loops on the PC when I was a kid. Loved it. On the iPad, not so much. Pretty shit. That's my opinion. If you like it, fucking go for it, man. I just didn't connect with it, and that's it. That's all there is to it. There's nothing more than that. Yeah, the mobile version, it just feels like they don't care about it as much. So let's get to Logic. Now, the thing was, the hoo-ha about Logic was, it had been going on for a long time. And this too, a Cakewalk's fucking, oh God, I remember making music on Cakewalk when I was a kid as well. God, listen to me when I was a little one. The thing with Logic was the hoo-ha, had to say it again because it's such a cool word. The hoo-ha got out of control, and it got like every week people were saying, Logic, do you think Logic's going to come out? Will they announce Logic? Will they da-da-da? Look, I'm sure Apple, in a perfect world, would love everybody to be making music on iPad. They probably have these big dreams, in their board meetings where they all sit around and wear their boat shoes and pastel colours at their office meetings. And they're equal amount of women. Anyway. And they sit there and go, how can we get everybody making music using an iPad? How can we do that? Because we'd love to do that. But it hasn't caught on the way that they probably expected it to go down. And I'm sure when they put GarageBand out on iOS, they thought, hey, people are going to go wild and start making all this music. And I don't think it has caught on the way they wanted it to catch on. People are still trapped. I mean, clearly we are living in a world where people want to go backwards and hold on to tradition. And, all these things that you can't change that because Barry Glenn, I like boat shoes and pastels. Well, congratulations, Barry. But so they released GarageBand, and it hasn't kicked off the way they wanted it to. It feels like even us, feels like it's still a very small niche collection of people who make music using iOS. It feels like that. It feels like it's very small and very, tight and very complainy, The thing is with GarageBand, so GarageBand's been out forever on the Mac, and it really did change, when it came out on the Mac, it really did change the way that people make music because it was easy and it opened the door for anybody to be able to make music. And there's more and more apps that are coming out and allowing people to do that every day, like with, things that keep you within the scale. So it's getting harder and harder to make stuff that sounds shit. Although some people still have a knack of doing that. I don't know how. Anyway, we're at our halfway point, and now we're getting to the Logic bit. I'll run the ad that we run every day. If you want to avoid the ad, become a YouTube Premium subscriber, or just skip the ad and we'll be back. Tomorrow on the show, while we're waiting for those who may or may not get served an ad, we will be continuing on using Logic to work on the Metheist album. We're going to have another opinion piece probably the day after. I'm not exactly sure yet what is happening. But this week's opening hour is a Ben Folds special. So I've been wanting to do one of these for a while. Got a heap of Ben Folds songs. If you're a fan of Ben Folds, come and join us. As I said at the top of the show, this week's interview is with Paul, P-A-L. So come and join us for that. He's an incredible artist. Been doing this a long time, and he's no slouch when it comes to making goddamn music. And also, let me remind you this, Brad Example's back this week. He's got a special guest on. And guess what? This week when he starts his show, he'll actually start the show and not sit there and play 5 songs thinking he's live this week. Because that's what Brad did this week, if you didn't know. If you're at Brad's show and you're waiting for him to start, guess what? He was actually sitting there. He played 4 songs and didn't realise he wasn't streaming. And I had to message him. Before he went live, he said to me, can you message me to tell me if the sound's okay? I'll leave iMessage open. And I was sitting there for fucking 15 minutes writing, dude, you're not live. You're not live. You're not live. Brad, where is it? Oops, wrong one. You're an idiot. But we love you.
Get fucked.
Hey, none of that, Brad. What's going on? I finished early. Oh, God, Pete, you got to love Brad. If you don't, you'll end up killing him. I saw something here I was going to bring up. Yes, there is a iOS remote for Logic. All right, we're back from the ad and all that stuff. Ben Folds for the win. Indeed, Pete Johns. Okay, so for the longest time, people were crying about Logic. When's Logic coming? When's Logic coming? And, you know, it dropped out of the blue because that's it. When you get so disappointed because we expect things to happen and, you know, let's just say it now. Obviously, iOS recording, music production hasn't taken off the way that we would love it to in the overall scheme of society. And Apple probably see that as well. I'm just making a hypothetical. So this is why it's taken a long time. Now, like any company, even though you've got billions of dollars, a lot of these software companies, let's talk about Cubase. So Steinberg, owned by Yamaha these days, if you just think about it, they have obviously a big team working on Cubase, but their team for Cubases for iPad is obviously a lot smaller. So this is why you get less updates because there's no money in it, right? And it's the same thing with Logic Pro for iPad. It's the same thing. Apple's probably sat there and gone, you know, we got to dedicate a bunch of people to make this thing. And is this going to be worth our time to invest to take people off other projects and put them onto this thing? Is it going to be worth it? Is there enough demand for it? Or is it just, you know, 30 people sitting in Pete John's chat every week going, when's Logic? And remember that guy who used to come into Pete John's chat and every episode would go, Pete, when's Logic coming out? Barry, that was his name? Was his name Barry? Hey, Raging Tomato. Is that what his name was? Remember that dude? He'd come in every show and go, Pete, do you know when Logic's coming out? And Pete would go, I don't know, man. Fucking, I don't work for Apple. And he did it for like 3 years. And every time Pete would politely answer him and go, unfortunately, Cobber, I don't know. Anyway, so obviously that was a part, I think that was a component of why it took so long for Apple to decide to put this out. They have to put people on this team. They have to make this. And then when they finally dropped it and it came out of left field, well, didn't the world explode? Because subscription. Boom. Subscription. Now, you can probably say, Apple, what a ripoff. They're already making me spend all this money on these iPads. How dare they? A subscription. Okay. Well, again, I think it comes down to allocating people to work on this thing. Is it going to be worth their time to have somebody continually work on it? And look, subscriptions suck. There's way too many of them. We have moved to the world of not owning anything anymore, and it continues to happen. It continues with videos and music and all this stuff. We don't seem to own anything anymore. We're just like leasing everything. And, you know, the world is heading to that place where they don't want us to own anything. The powers that be, they don't want us to own anything. They just want us to live here and work and then die and not own anything and struggle all the way through it. That's true. We know that. If you don't, I'm sorry. And Santa Claus isn't real as well. So there's that. But the subscription to me is like, you know what? I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. And boy, have I used it. You've got to make that decision. Most people are adults and yes, there's a subscription, but are you going to use it? If you're not going to use it every day, don't pay the fucking subscription. Like, that's it. Well, is that already happening? But I can report that Logic has been perfect for me. Why? What is the first reason? Let's run through. We've got 20 minutes to run through these reasons of why, and then we'll cover the things that suck. Because, of course, we have to do that. Why is Logic perfect for me? Well, and this will be different for different people. When I open up Logic, it's familiar. It reminds me of GarageBand, something that I used for the longest time and was very comfortable to open up any time and just go and make music. And within seconds, have something going, all right? Well, remember, Barry, I'm not here to tell you what you should use at all. I'm just explaining my thought process on what, for me, has it helped me make more music, and is it enjoyable? And yeah, I open it up and it's familiar to a degree. It kind of looks like GarageBand, and that has upset some people. They're like, hang on a minute, it's just GarageBand Pro. I was like, well, who gives a fuck if it looks like GarageBand a little bit? Like, nothing looks exactly the same. You know, we're not in the world where we have Mac OS on an iPad. That's just not where we're at. We could go sometime. But the familiarity of this is what made it really good for me, is that it's familiar, but it has the things that GarageBand doesn't have that I hated so much, like this. Oh my God. An actual mixer with panning and, oh my God, and buses, like a real recording studio. It's no longer a toy, but it still is a toy. You can still use it in that toyish manner that GarageBand is used in. That's very simple, and it can hold your hand through things. And a lot. Here's the thing with options. Oh, people are going to get upset, and so be it. Options are great, right? To have, oh, it's got all these bells and whistles. Ooh. How many of them do most people actually use? It's not a lot. Again, this comes back to where we're at as a society. Something comes out that's cool and people go, well, that's really cool, but I want this as well. It didn't satisfy my individual needs. Me. And for the most part, when you get these things, people don't fucking use them. And again, like, in my opinion, they could have just released something that looked exactly like GarageBand, just with the ability to have a mixer, yeah, and the ability to go in when I mix down a song, hit export, do this one little, look how easy this thing was that they could have done in GarageBand. You see, where is it? Processing details. Here it is. Look at this. Include audio tail. Normalize. Off. That's all they needed to do. Normalize off. In GarageBand, this thing was on all the time. Now you've got options. Overload protection on. To be honest, like a lot of the things in Logic, and there's a lot. Is it everything that's in Logic on Mac? No, it's not. But can it? Of course it can. There's plenty of room to update. They're completely capable, these devices, so it could be a part of paying that subscription. They'll work it in. It'll be, we'll probably get full flex time at some stage and all that jazz. But a lot of the people, yeah, they're not going to use half the shit here. Look, I probably don't use half of, see, the ability Logic has to make music. But what I do works. And yes, it's the little things that for many of us who are ready to move on from GarageBand, this is the perfect upgrade. It really is. And has it got some problems? It sure does. In fact, some of the problems it's got have been there since day one, 2 years, and they still haven't fucking fixed it. No matter how many bug reports I sent through for this one thing, they still haven't fixed it. It's just ridiculous. which frustrates me a little bit, but Apple does frustrate me. Logic has basically been GarageBand Pro since Apple bought it from eMagic. Yes, it sure has been. That is so true. I mean, the Logic on PC was very much like, can't think of it was a typical DAW, yeah? Your buses, all that kind of stuff. It didn't have all the Apple stuff. You know what I mean by Apple stuff? The training wheel stuff. Jamie Melander, g'day. Jamie Melander going live tomorrow before this show. Apple basically took Logic and they added training wheels to it. They'd already done that with GarageBand, and they did the same thing with, that's what Apple do. They take things and then they add training wheels to make them available to everybody who wants to make music. That's one of the things that is really good about Apple. Some of their practices suck, and but they do try and make things that are accessible for everybody to make music. This is a discussion for another day. Is this kind of fucking the music industry? Yeah, kind of, because everybody can release so much shit that's just not worth even listening to. That the music industry is so clogged with rubbish, right? So what do I like? I like the simplicity of being able to open Logic and just go. Just go, go, go. I love the ability to save presets super easy. I love the way how panes open, and when I first got it, I was like, man, there's a lot of things that you've got to like switch through here and open up and bring this up and bring this up here and have this open here, and it's all a bit cluttered and messy, but man, you've only got a screen. It's like this big. You got to fit all this stuff in, right? The other thing I will say about Logic is that people held the iPad version to a standard, right? But it doesn't have this. But if Logic didn't exist on Mac, this thing's incredible. It's amazing. Like it's on a piece of fucking glass. If there wasn't a Mac version of it that had these other things, like full flex time, you wouldn't be going, and freaking out. It's only because there already is something over here. And look, again, there are going to be people who don't want to use an iPad to make music. And that's why there are so many options. Yeah? But to me, loading up a project is super easy. Now I've made, since downloading this sucker, let's come over here. There's my Logic Pro folder. Where are we? Let's go back. So I've been making a lot of stuff. In fact, what I did was I was able to, relatively easy, I think it took me about a week to go back into all of the files that I'd made for my album. I'm just trying to find it here. See, I've got too many projects. That's the one thing I haven't got better at, is organization. Pete, help me. I was able to go into Audio Pro and take all of the music I'd made for my album, the 24 tracks here, and move them into Logic, and now have them. Look at this, how cool this is. Here they all are. These songs all began in GarageBand. Some of them I started recording back in 2012, 2011, and they've been through GarageBand into Audio Pro, and then now they're in Logic, and now they're so well organized. Like, we've got all the drum stacks. So and as you probably noticed, look at these. This is all color-coded to the max. Every instrument has its iconography. I spent a lot of time moving all these songs across from Audio Pro into this. And they've all come across really, really well. So it's a dream for me, because this album was in limbo for a long time because Audio Pro kept crashing. It was a nightmare. I didn't know where I was going to go from here. And it's been really easy to move things across like that. Now I know comfortably too when I mix these down, I'm not going to get any of that bullshit Apple compression and limiting and all that kind of stuff. Now, for some people too, Logic's going to be a bit of a mess. They're going to be like, hang on a minute, this is very complicated for me. It's very complicated. And yes, this is the question, but do you need this complication? Do you need to have the latest thing? What are the things that you're looking for? I always suggest, if you want to get into Logic Pro, have you exhausted everything in GarageBand yet? Or the DAW that you're using? If you're like coming up against a wall in say GarageBand, then yeah, it's time to move on. But don't walk away from GarageBand. There's still uses for it. There's definitely still uses for it. I mean, I remember when Logic came out, I went and grabbed all of the presets I'd saved and copied them into Logic. Because, yes, there's some sounds that were missing and things that I really liked in GarageBand. Again, look, and the price. We'll come back to subscriptions before we get out of here. Pete Johns is up next today. He's doing a GarageBand weekly. It's a subscription. You've got to talk about, like, you've got to quantify, am I going to use it? All right. If you're not using it, don't subscribe to it. For me personally, it's a lot of money. Yeah, it works out Australian at $60 a year. Is that right? Yeah, $60 a year. That's a lot of money. And but I can honestly say, looking at what I've made a bunch of stuff, and I haven't even talked about the ability to failed to load an AEV3. The ability to do things like this. Because I do the opening hour, I can't tell you how good this has been. Here is nearly every Mr. Bungle song. Well, not every one, but a lot of the good ones. And I've gone in here and removed all the vocals from each and every one of them. The song splitter and vocal remover is still the best, in my opinion. I've tried all of them here on the channel. For doing stuff like this, if you can't find a karaoke song online, paying the subscription to do this has been killer. But I've made a shit ton of music. I've released a crap ton of good music, I think. We've got my Metheist EP I'm working on at the moment, which is sounding really killer. And it came together in a week. Why? Because it was so easy to plug into and just start making music. We had, what else? I'm working on this DreadCircus remake of my demo from 1995. You guys have been watching that come together. It's been super easy. I released The Fight last year. You know, you've probably heard this song over and over again. Somebody said on one of my shows, stop using The Fight for demos because they're getting sick of hearing it. I do apologise. Songtember 2024. So this is the song I'm still going ahead with Viv Sparrow. She's been on holidays, but we're getting back to doing that. There's FMC stuff in here. Adam Bursa's song. Everything has just come together really easy, and we're only halfway through this set of songs. We've done FMC tracks in here. There's so much stuff, and even again, just for doing demos. Like, here we go. Have we got any demos here? Here we go. Here's from the SNES demo that I did from... So easy to throw things together. Hey, Ed Zielinski. I just find it super, super easy. And again, like whoever it was mentioned, I've barely scratched. It was who said it? I can't remember. Jerry said it. There we go. Haven't used half of the stuff. But using it smart is the way to go, yeah? Because I think what's happened is, for a lot of people, is that we've been using things like GarageBand for the longest time without a bus and understanding buses. You can maximize using Logic by using buses and putting one effect on a bus and not having to put it on every effect on every channel. That alone saves so much memory on your iPad, whatever device you're using. That is a game changer to me, right? Because GarageBand, you had to put an effect on every channel, every track that you had. If you had 10 vocal tracks that all had the same vocal, it had to be on. Now you can do buses, and sure, it doesn't use interrupt audio. Sure, some things aren't working yet, but as you've seen on this channel, Pete's channel, we found tricks and ways around things. This is the thing with iOS. There's always going to be limitations, but there's always going to be people like us who've been using iOS for a very long time who want to find ways around things. And Ed Zielinski, he's another one. He's got heaps of videos on his channel where he finds ways around the limitations that iOS place on us and DAWs place on us, yeah? So that's the thing. There are people who make music on desktop and Macs, and sure, you've had it easy for a long time, and you know it's a proven way to make music. But then there are people who use iOS, and we're just a little bit more cluey because we have to work hard to make things work. Sometimes people have to invent whole new apps to get around things to make them work properly. So that, look, quickly. 2 minutes. Don't want to focus on this. I wish Apple would release more updates for this thing. I really wish they would. More updates. Can you give us a little bit more? It would be nice. I know the producer packs are sweet and all that stuff, but there's a lot of us now who use Logic because we actually don't need loops. All right? We're good. We're okay. We can actually make music. We can do the guitar and the stuff. Can you give us some more updates, Apple? That would be fucking really nice. And can you fix that bug where every time I go to play MIDI in and the first note disappears? Can you fix that? I'm sick of it. It's easy to fix. You just go into the MIDI and move it back. But it's been there for 2 years. It can't be that hard to fix, can it? We're paying you for it. It's important. Sure, there are little bugs here and there and they're annoying. You've probably seen me on the show. There's one bug at the moment when I pinch to zoom, when I'm putting in chords and the little chord track, it shuts down the app. I don't know why it does it. It's an annoying thing. I've sent bug reports. They haven't fixed it. I just wish, the major complaint I have about Logic is that because we're paying a subscription, you really should address stuff faster. Yeah, because nobody's from Apple's watching this. And I hate channels that do videos going, a word to the company, do this thing. It's like, they're not watching you, idiot. So there's why I love Logic. I think Logic is just easy to use. It fits me like a glove. And I feel confident to use it to make music. I don't feel trapped. I don't feel like I'm being held back, and I feel like I can just let my ideas flow because I understand how to use it. It's simple to use. All that training with GarageBand on iOS was fantastic, and GarageBand is great as well. And every DAW that I've mentioned today, and so many more that didn't get named, are just as freaking good. So you do you, boo. Enjoy making music. That's the most important thing. Enjoy making music. It doesn't matter what you make it on. So if you've got people telling you it does, they're dickheads. They really are. Don't listen to them. Okay, thanks for hanging out with me today. Pete Johns is up next. I'll automatically dump you over there, as I say, each and every week on the show, each and every day. Do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better, and we'll all rise together. Thank you for hanging out. Stay awake, and let's freaking Oge.